City Hall. This is where the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, lives. Actually, he don't live here. He works here. Whatever your political affiliations. Okay, maybe later. So it's Canto 1 chapter 18, text 33. Now we're getting to the juicy bit where Parikshit Maharaj is cursed by a Brahmana boy. It's quite controversial as well, actually. So let's say the invocation and get on with it.
Okay.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Alright, it's text 32. The sage had a son who was very powerful, being a Brahmana's son. While he was playing with inexperienced boys, he heard of his father's distress, which was occasioned by the king. Then and there the boy spoke as follows. Due to Maharaj Parikshit's good government, even a boy of tender age who was playing with other inexperienced boys could become as powerful as a qualified Brahmana. This boy was known as Shringi, and he achieved good training in Brahmacharya by his father, so that he could be as powerful as a Brahmana, even at that age. But because the age of Kali was seeking an opportunity to spoil the cultural heritage of the four orders of life, the inexperienced boy gave a chance for the age of Kali to enter into the field of Vedic culture. Hatred of the lower orders of life began from this Brahmana boy under the influence of Kali, and thus cultural life began to dwindle day after day. The first victim of Brahminical injustice was Maharaj Parikshit, and thus the protection given by the king against the onslaught of Kali was slackened.
Yeah, so for those of you who've been following us regularly, you know that we did read this verse last time.
Yes, it's a recap.
The repetition of a good thing is wanted. And you have to be mindful that the mic is
Yes. Harebo.
So text 33. The Brahmana's son, Shringi, said, "Oh, just look at the sins of the rulers who, like crows and watchdogs at the door, perpetrate sins against their masters, contrary to the principles governing the servants." Purport. The Brahmanas are considered to be the head and the brains of the social body, and the Kshatriyas are considered to be the arms of the social body. The arms are required to protect the body from all harm, but the arms must act according to the directions of the head and brain. That is a natural arrangement made by the supreme order, for it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that four social orders or castes, namely the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras, are set up according to quality and work done by them. Naturally, the son of a Brahmana has a good chance to become a Brahmana by the direction of his qualified father, as the son of a medical practitioner has a very good chance to become a qualified medical practitioner. So the caste system is quite scientific. The son must take advantage of the father's qualification and thus become a Brahmana or medical practitioner, and not otherwise. Without being qualified, one cannot become a Brahmana or medical practitioner. That is the verdict of all scriptures and social orders. Herein, Shringi, a qualified son of a great Brahmana, attained the required Brahminical power, both by birth and by training, but he was lacking in culture because he was an inexperienced boy. By the influence of Kali, the son of a Brahmana became puffed up with Brahminical power, and thus wrongly compared Maharaj Parikshit to crows and watchdogs. The king is certainly the watchdog of the state in the sense that he keeps vigilant eyes over the border of the state for its protection and defense, but to address him as a watchdog is the sign of a less cultured boy. Thus the downfall of the Brahminical powers began as they gave importance to birthright without culture. The downfall of the Brahmana caste began in the age of Kali. And since Brahmanas are the heads of social order, all other orders of society also began to deteriorate. This beginning of Brahminical deterioration was highly deplored by the father of Shringi, as we will find.
Text 34. The descendants of the kingly orders are definitely designated as watchdogs, and they must keep themselves at the door. That's rude. On what grounds can dogs enter the house and claim to dine with the master on the same plate? The inexperienced Brahmana boy certainly knew that the king asked for water from his father, and the father did not respond. He tried to explain away his father's inhospitality in an impertinent manner, befitting an uncultured boy. He was not at all sorry for the king's not being well received. On the contrary, he justified the wrong act in a way characteristic of the Brahmanas of Kali Yuga. He compared the king to a watchdog, and so it was wrong for the king to enter the home of a Brahmana and ask for water from the same pot. This mentality of false prestige is the cause of downfall of the perfect social order. And we can see that in the beginning it was started by the inexperienced son of a Brahmana, as the dog is never allowed to enter within the room and hearth, although it is reared by the master. Similarly, according to Shringi, the king had no right to enter the house of Shamika Rishi. According to the boy's opinion, the king was on the wrong side and not his father, and thus he justified his silent father.
Text 35. After the departure of Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead and supreme ruler of everyone, these upstarts have flourished, our protector being gone. Therefore, I myself shall take up this matter and punish them. Just witness my power. So this is Shringi speaking. Purport. The inexperienced Brahmin, puffed up by a little Brahma Tejas, became influenced by the spell of Kali Yuga. Maharaj Parikshit gave license to Kali to live in 4 places as mentioned herein before. But by this very expert government, the personality of Kali could hardly find the places allotted him. The personality of Kali Yuga therefore was seeking the opportunity to establish authority, and by the grace of the Lord he found a hole in the puffed up, inexperienced son of a Brahmana. The little Brahmana wanted to show his prowess in destruction, and he had the audacity to punish such a great king as Maharaj Parikshit. He wanted to take the place of Lord Krishna after his departure. These are the principal signs of upstarts who want to take the place of Sri Krishna under the influence of the age of Kali. An upstart with a little power wants to become an incarnation of the Lord. There are many false incarnations after the departure of Lord Krishna from the face of the globe, and they are misleading the innocent public by accepting the spiritual obedience of the general mass of people to maintain false prestige. In other words, the personality of Kali got the opportunity to reign through the son of a Brahmana, Shringi. So exactly what was the hole, what was the gap that he entered into?
Text 36. The son of the Rishi, his eyes red hot with anger, touched the water of the river Kaushika while speaking to his playmates, and discharged the following thunderbolt of words. Purport. The circumstances under which Maharaj Parikshit was cursed were simply childish, as it appears from this verse. Shringi was showing his impudency amongst his playmates who were innocent. Any sane man would have prevented him from doing such great harm to all human society. By killing a king like Maharaj Parikshit, just to make a show of acquired Brahminical power, the inexperienced son of a Brahmana committed a great mistake.
Text 37. The Brahmana's son cursed the king thus: on the 7th day from today, a snake bird will bite the most wretched one of that. The Brahmana's son cursed the king thus: on the 7th day from today, a snake bird will bite the most wretched one of the dynasty, Maharaj Parikshit, because of his having broken the laws of etiquette by insulting my father. Purport. Thus, the beginning of the misuse of Brahminical power began. And gradually the Brahmanas in the age of Kali became devoid of both Brahminical powers and culture. The Brahmana boy considered Maharaj Parikshit to be Kulangara, or the wretched of the dynasty. But factually, the Brahman boy himself was so, because only from him did the Brahmana caste become powerless, like the snake whose poisoned teeth are broken. The snake is fearful as long as his poisoned teeth are there. Otherwise, he is fearful only to children. The personality of Kali conquered the Brahman boy first, and gradually the other caste. Thus, the whole scientific system of the orders of society in this age has assumed the form of a vitiated caste system, which is now being uprooted by another class of men similarly influenced by the age of Kali. One should see to the root cause of vitiation. What does that word mean, vitiation? Let's look it up. Spoil or impair the quality or efficiency of. Vitiate. Vitiate, I guess is the way to say it. Vitiate. Vitiation. And not try to condemn the system as it is, without knowledge of its scientific value. So let me read that again. One should see to the root cause of vitiation and not try to condemn the system as it is without knowledge of the scientific value. So the point is that one should understand that the caste system is created or has become understood in this way because the root cause is this Brahmin boy who basically wanted to become God and who misused his power to condemn a monarch. But the system itself is scientific and works. Not that it needs to be called the caste system, we call it the Varnashram system, or the system of four orders, four Varnas, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. So it has a scientific value. So, like they say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and kind of thing.
Yeah, because I was hearing a lecture recently, and it's like it's not just India that had a so-called what we call caste system. Europe had their aristocracy, and different countries have it called different names. But the concept of the caste system, the way people are in different situations in life, is there if you study history. It's just natural. You know, people incline to these different areas naturally. Text 38. Thereafter, when the boy returned to the hermitage, he saw a snake on his father's shoulder, and out of his grief he cried very loudly. Purport. The boy was not happy because he committed a great mistake, and he wanted to be relieved of the burden on his heart by crying. So after entering the hermitage and seeing his father in that condition, he cried loudly so that he might be relieved, but it was too late. The father regretted the whole incident.
Text 39. O Brahmanas, the rishi who was born in the family of Angira Muni, hearing his son crying, gradually opened his eyes and saw the dead snake around his neck. Text 40. He threw the dead snake aside and asked his son why he was crying, whether anyone had done him harm. On hearing this, the son explained to him what had happened. Purport. The father did not take the dead snake on his neck very seriously. He simply threw it away. Actually, there was nothing seriously wrong in Maharaj Parikshit's act, but the foolish son took it very seriously, and being influenced by Kali, he cursed the king, and thus ended a chapter of happy history. This is a really important point, actually, that it is possible that we take things a little too seriously sometimes that aren't such a big deal. Even it seems here that Maharaj Parikshit had kind of disrespected the Brahmin, and the son took it very seriously. But we understand here what's being said is that that's an immature mentality, And that immature mentality has caused an end to a chapter of happy history of people working together just because one person was immature and took something too seriously.
Yeah, you have to see the outcome of your actions and what it achieves.
Yeah, but before that, we should have some knowledge that we shouldn't perform the action. If we
Yeah,
can
no,
see
that's what I mean. That think that, okay, if I do this, what's the outcome? What's going to occur? And is that really cool, you know? Was it a good idea to condemn Maharaj Parikshit to death? Okay, maybe not. Will my dad be pleased? Should I talk to him about it?
Yeah. Think before we act.
Yeah.
And you know, don't take everything so seriously. It is, you know, everyone makes mistakes. Maharaj Parikshit made a mistake. That's an interesting point. And we don't always. Yeah, it is a very good point.
Yeah. Text 41. The father heard from his son that the king had been cursed, although he should never have been condemned, for he was the best amongst all human beings. The rishi did not congratulate his son, but on the contrary began to repent, saying, "Alas, what a great sinful act was performed by my son. He is awarded heavy punishment for an insignificant offence." Purport. The king is the best of all human beings. He is a representative of God, and he is never to be condemned for any of his actions. In other words, a king can do no wrong. The king may order hanging of a culprit son of a Brahmana, but he does not become sinful for killing a Brahmana. Even if there is something wrong with the king, he is never to be condemned. A medical practitioner...
Sit here for long, or...
Yeah, we're just filming something live, maybe another 5 minutes. Is that okay? Alright, sorry about that.
A medical practitioner may kill a patient by mistaken treatment, but such a killer is never condemned to death. So what to speak of a king and pious king like Maharaj Parikshit? In the Vedic way of life, the king is trained to become a Rajashi or a great saint, although he is ruling as king. It is the king only by whose good government the citizens can live peacefully and without any fear. The Rajashis would manage their kingdom so nicely and piously that their subjects would respect them as if they were the Lord. That is the instruction of the Vedas. The king is called Narendra, or the best amongst the human beings. How then could a king like Maharaj Parikshit be condemned by an inexperienced, puffed-up son of a Brahmana, even though he had attained the powers of a qualified Brahmana? Since Shamika Rishi was an...
Since Shamika Rishi was an experienced, good Brahmana, he did not approve the actions of the condemned son. He began to lament for all that his son had done. The king was beyond the jurisdiction of curses as a general rule, and what to speak of a good king like Maharaj Parikshit. The offense of the king was most insignificant, and his being condemned to death was certainly a very great sin for Srimad. Therefore, Rishi Shamika regretted the whole incident. Insignificant sin. So, I think we're going to finish here because it seems like a lot of activity is going on, and we're a bit early. It's only 20 minutes today. Sorry about that, but thank you for being with us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Bhagavatam Bites.